Hello everyone, my name is Abhishek and welcome back to my channel. So you must have seen a lot of videos that covers the list of DevOps tools that you need to learn. But in today's video, let's understand which DevOps tools are obsolete. Now some tools were very popular in the space of DevOps, but you don't have to learn them anymore. In today's video, let's understand those tools. Again, this is important because during your interview preparation or while you are learning DevOps, it's important to focus only on the tools that can get you the job. I'll try to keep this video short. I'll not only explain you which tools you have to skip, but I'll also tell you what are the alternatives to those tools that are currently trending in the market. Just make sure you watch the video till the end. And if you have any questions, do let me know in the comment section. Let's get started. Let's start with a very popular option, infrastructure as code. Today, if you're learning DevOps and cloud, it is very important to learn infrastructure as code. Many people focus on the cloud providers infrastructure as code tools. For example, AWS has something like AWS Cloud Formation. Azure has Azure Resource Manager. I would say do not focus on these tools at this point. If you are learning ISC in 2026, instead try to focus on alternatives like Terraform or OpenTofu. Why? Because these tools are cloud agnostic. Irrespective of the cloud platform, you can learn these concepts and you can actually implement these concepts to create the infrastructure. And this is important because learning Terraform itself is going to take good amount of time for you. So if you focus your time on learning both AWS Cloud Formation template and Terraform, it is going to take so much of your time. So Abhishek, do I need to completely ignore AWS Cloud Formation template? What if this is asked in the interviews? Or what if someone's going to ask me about Azure Bicep or Azure Resource Manager? Just understand how this concept works. And then you can tell in the interview, in the previous organization, or I have extensive learned Terraform and I know how to implement the same infrastructure using Terraform. So infrastructure as code, things not to focus more in 2026, the cloud related infrastructure as code platforms. Then another popular thing, CI/CD. Lot of times people start their CI/CD journey with Jenkins. Now this is completely wrong because when you are learning CI/CD, instead of learning Jenkins, understand the CI/CD concept and go with modern CI/CD solutions like GitHub Actions. I'll tell you the reason. Now, this might feel like a controversial opinion, but let me explain very clearly. If you're trying to apply for startups, or let's say if you're trying to apply for product-based companies that have recently set up their DevOps culture, most likely they would go with tools like GitHub Actions or GitLab. But if you go with service-based companies, or let's say you go with companies that are established for a long time, then they would ask you Jenkins. In the job description, you will see Jenkins. But my suggestion is that if you're learning DevOps in 2026, go with better solutions like CI/CD and GitHub Actions. I mean, learn CI/CD concept and focus on tools like GitHub Actions or GitLab CI pipelines so that it will be relevant skill in the market. And you will also be able to explain that I recently learned DevOps, or in the last 1 to 2 years, I'm working as a DevOps engineer, and this is what we are using. Because most of the times, even if the companies are using Jenkins, they are trying to move to these solutions. Even that will help you in the interviews. You can say, I know the concept of CI/CD. I know how exactly Jenkins works, how it implements CI/CD, but my major experience is in GitHub Actions. So even if they're migrating from Jenkins to latest solutions, this is going to help you. Then container orchestration solutions. People still focus on tools like Docker Swarm. I've seen people even looking at the previous solutions like MISOS, Marathon, Cloud Foundry. I would say you can completely ignore all of them. When it comes to container orchestration engine, blindly go with Kubernetes. Now, a lot of people might already know this, but For people who are still focusing on solutions like uh, Docker Swarm or other container orchestration solutions like ECS, don't waste your time. Just go with Kubernetes. Apart from that, configuration management, another very relevant skill in the space of DevOps and cloud. In configuration management, do not go with solutions like Chef. Okay, Chef was a very popular solution. I totally agree. There was a time when the job descriptions had solutions like Chef, they had solutions like Puppet, Salt. But today, they would only ask you Ansible. You can pick up majority of job descriptions, you would see Ansible. So just go with Ansible. In fact, the concept of configuration management, you can learn once you complete your DevOps journey as well. Because today configuration management has become very, very easy. A lot of companies do it with shell scripts, Python scripts, and even to some extent, the Terraform OpenTofu solutions also implement it. So if you want to learn configuration management, even in a date playlist that is covered after everything, so you can go and keep the configuration management as your last part of DevOps learning journey. Then comes to monitoring. Towards the end of the video, I'll also summarize these things. Right now, I'm not focusing on the order, I'm focusing on the order of importance. Monitoring, previously, Negios, like if you see the job descriptions maybe 3 years ago, 4 years ago, people used to have Negios part of their job description, but today the open source stack has taken over. In fact, I'll go a step ahead and I'll tell you, you don't have to focus on any proprietary or any enterprise monitoring solution. It can be Negios, it can be Datadog, it can be Dynatrace, it can be maybe ground cover, site 24/7, because there are so many enterprise solutions. Instead, go with the open source stack. Just learn Prometheus, Grafana, OpenTelemetry, EFK stack. So this is something that you can focus on. And even you can add eBPF to it. So when it comes to monitoring, do not go with solutions like Negios, although they are still used in the companies. But for your interviews, the open source stack would help you a lot. Then GitOps. Even though GitOps is there in the space of DevOps for last few years, but still there is significant change in the DevOps space. If you're learning tools like Spinnaker used to be the popular DevOps and cloud GitOps solution, but today Argo CD has taken over. In fact, I can go a step ahead and tell you, even if you're learning Flux CD, you can ignore that and just blindly go with Argo CD, because this has become popular GitOps implementation in the market, right? And secrets management, this has become important in the DevSecOps space. In secrets management, HashiCorp Console, this used to be very popular solution. Still a lot of people learn it, but instead of that, do not go with solutions like Console. Instead, go with solutions like HashiCorp Vault. Very simple implementation. The secrets discovery is also very easy. So go with Vault. Let me quickly summarize. So basically, if you're learning DevOps and cloud, these are the concepts that you focus a lot of time. If you're learning infrastructure as code, which you would learn as part of your DevOps journey, ignore the cloud provider based infrastructure as code solutions. Instead, focus on cloud agnostic solutions like Terraform or OpenTofu. Then CI/CD, very important in DevOps. Instead of starting your journey with Jenkins, understand the concept of CI/CD. Just know what is Jenkins, how it works, but focus more on GitHub Actions or even GitLab pipelines, because majority of the companies are moving from Jenkins to these solutions. If it is startups, companies that recently established, they are already going with these solutions. Container orchestration engine. Do not go with Docker Swarm, ECS, start your journey with Kubernetes. Configuration management. First of all, I would say you can keep configuration management at the end of your DevOps journey, complete all the other concepts. And even if you're learning configuration management, do not focus on tools like Chef, Puppet, Salt. Ansible has taken over this space. Today, even in the job descriptions, you would only find Ansible. Monitoring, do not go with enterprise solutions, especially the outdated tools like Negios and even other enterprise solutions. Instead, keep your foundation strong. Go with open source stack, Prometheus, Grafana, EFK, eBPF. In fact, if you look at our observability 0 to hero playlist, this is exactly what I covered. Because once you know these tools, you can learn all of these tools. GitOps. People focus on Spinnaker, FluxCD. They were very good in the past. In fact, there was a time where FluxCD was more popular, Spinnaker were most popular when compared to Argo CD. But today, Argo CD taken over the space of GitOps. Finally, secrets management. Do not focus on tools like Consul. Instead, go with HashiCorp or Vault. It is very widely used even in the Kubernetes ecosystem. But Abhishek, what about other tools? What about Linux? What about other things that we learn as part of DevOps like containers? I'm sure you must already be learning the popular tools in those spaces. The only reason why I covered these technologies or these skills in the space of DevOps, because this is where a lot of people do mistakes. Otherwise, when you're learning Linux or operating systems, you would go with Linux. When you're learning about containers, you would start your journey with Docker. So there is no problem there. Or Podman, there is no problem. This is where a lot of people waste their time. So I thought, let me do a dedicated video and talk about the tools that you don't have to learn. Now, if you need a structured roadmap, I'll share the link in the description. I already made 2026 DevOps roadmap. You can go through that roadmap video where you get clearly what is the step 1 thing to learn, step 2, step 3. In fact, I created a playlist as well. Perfect. So I hope you found this video informative. If you have any questions, do let me know in the comment section. See you all in the next video. Take care.